So, hello, good day everyone. So, this is our second day of meeting to share our knowledge or ideas during our self-study. So, sino po yung first po na mag-share po ng idea? Proceed po.
Hello po, good morning. Dito na po tayo dito sa community organizing. Babasahin ko po lang muna to, tapos isa-summarize ko po din sasabihin ko po ito. So, community organizing is a continuous and sustained process of first guiding people to understand and the existing conditions of their own community. Organizing people to work and efficiently on their immediate and long-term problems. Mobilizing people to develop their capacity and readiness to respond and take action on their immediate long-term needs. A middle ground where the healthcare worker and the people need to attain community organization, a liberal freedom of the community where the people are allowed to participate in the overall healthcare status of their community. A transformation force that enables the individuals, families, and communities to be responsible for their own health, a phenomenon of interest, goals, and objectives, and the people in their way to citizenry. Tinatawag ni Papa. Ngayon po, sa community organizing. Community organization is a continuous and sustained process of educating the people to understand and develop their critical awareness of their existing conditions, working with people collectively and effectively on their immediate and long-term problems, and mobilizing the people to develop and capability and readiness to respond to take actions of their immediate needs toward solving their long-term problems. Yun po. Sinasabi po dito ng community organizing, it is a continuous and sustained process. Meaning po, dapat po tuloy-tuloy, and sustain is hindi dapat siya mag-end or mahihinto, kasi yun yung dapat prinsipyo ng community organizing. It is a continuous and sustained process. So, as a process po sa community organizing, community organizing is a sequence of steps whereby the members of the community work together to critically assess and evaluate community conditions to improve the conditions. Yun po. Sequence of steps meaning po yung pagkasunod-sunod na hakbang kung saan ang mga miyembro ng isang community ay napagtutulungan na ma-evaluate ang mga critical na masuri ang mga conditions at ma-improve pa ito. As a structure, it refers to the particular group of community members that work together for common health-related problems. Ang isang particular na group of community members ang mga karaniwang problemang pangkalusugan. Yun lang po.
So, may dadagdag po ako sa community organizing. Yung important ito is it brings about the social change for disadvantaged groups and para ma-improve yung community decision making nila and to reduce crime and improve safety and public health. Then dito nag-engage and then empowered people with the purpose of increasing the influence of groups historically underrepresented in policies and decision making after their lives. So, yung example ko po as applied to PHC, dito po yung pag-increase ng people's people's skills nila, yung defining kung ano yung priorities nila, and servicing self-help groups. Then yung as a process naman po is yung individuals developing self-esteem and confidence, yung mga taong nakikipag-participate in social activities to overcome their social isolation and increase participation in political and citizenship activities. As a structure naman is, dito natin tag yung pagkakaroon ng unity ng bawat isa, the state of being united or joined together po.
May dadagdag ako. Okay, community organizing. I've learned that their aims is to organize and mobilize and educate people to build a sense of community. By doing so, the community gains power or influence over issues concerning their welfare. And also, I learned that community organizing is a process where people who live in proximity to each other or to share some common problems come together into an organization that acts in their shared self-interest. So, what is the importance of community organizing in community development naman? Community organizing is important because it brings out social change for disadvantaged groups, improve community decisions making, reduce crime, improve safety and public health, and spur local economies and more. And of course, the risk can range from the burnout and feelings of powerlessness to harassment and legal or corporal punishment. Yun lang.
So next, the importance of community organizing. So it provides the people with an opportunity to get involved and identify the common health problems of their community. And number 2, it guides the community in decision making towards self-reliance. Number 3, it guides people in analyzing the strengths and weakness of every possible solution offered by them. So the importance of community organizing in our community, because they focus each community's needs, and also the organizing are the way to voice your opinion in to government organizations. So si Saul Alinsky is the father of community organizing po pala. Baka po kasi kasali siya sa exam 2 natin. So next, objectives of community organizing. The process of this community organizing is concerned with the welfare of individuals or groups in order to meet their needs. So because the PHC is the committee of base program that encourage students to become more engaged, citizens conscious. So this lesson is part of it. So sa emphasis of community organizing in PHC naman po, so it emphasizes active participations from the community in identifying key health issues and strategies to address them. So the community organizations identifying the people structures that can make those solutions possible. Yun lang.
Again, I am Elsie Talpan, and may gusto lang din akong itagdag dito sa part na ito. The people needs to know their problems, and the people need to work on their long-term and immediate problems. Ang tanong, by how? By mobilizing the people and even their resources in the community. Maybe it's human resources, technical, or tinatawag nating material resources, something like that. So, once these people are actually mobilizing, there is a continuous and sustained process of educating the community on how they are going to solve their own problem so that they can no longer meet this problem in the future. But if when they are going to meet this problem in the future, alam na ng mga tao kung paano nila re-resolbahan yung kanilang problema kasi alam na nila yung approach
on how to solve their own issue or problem. For the objectives, awareness of social realities, wherein people needs to be aware of the social realities towards development of local initiative, optimal use of human technical or material resources. Dito, kailangan nating ipaalam sa mga tao yung mga problems or kanilang locality in order for them to stand or to create a local initiative, though through the use of their own resources. May it be, sabi ko nga kanina, human, technical, or material resources na meron sila sa kanilang community. The next one is to form structures that uphold people's basic interests as oppressed and deprived sectors or sections of the community, and as people bound by the interest to serve the other people. We are already transforming the structure of the community. Yung mga tao sa community dapat may interest or interesado sila na makipag-cooperate sa mga goals. So since also they came from the oppressed and deprived section of the community, they should also have an interest to serve the people. So dito, kailangan natin ng good leader doon sa community in order for them or in order for that leader to themselves, but to help other people in that community. Initiate responsibilities that is intended to address the holistic values, community health, and social problems. So the people needs to be aware, and the people have a basic interest. Once these people have already a basic interest at alam na nila yung kanilang mga problema, then they are already responsible holistically sa pag-solve ng kanilang sariling issue or problema. May dadagdag po ako sa emphasis of community organizing primary healthcare. So yung there is a conscious raising to perceive health and medical care with the total structure of community. Yung conscious raising kasi is other term ito yung awareness raising. It is a form po of activism siya. It often takes the form of a group of people to attempt and to focus yung mga attention of a wider group on some cause or condition po.
So dito, share ko lang yung natutunan ko about participatory action research. As a process, participatory action research, PAR, is an investigation on problems and issues concerning life and environment of the underprivileged by the way of research collaboration with the underprivileged whose representatives participate in the actual research as researchers themselves, doing research of their own problem. To know the situation of a certain community, to get an acceptable reason to budget a healthcare program, we should investigate what would be needed in barangay, especially in medical needs. We should also list data about the problems, needs, and things to do better for the residents that have been chosen for the healthcare program. As a structure, the beneficiaries of the research are the main actors in the research process. It enables the community to experience a collaborative consciousness of their own systems. PAR involves research, education, and actions to empower people to determine the cause of their problems. analyze these problems, and act by themselves in responding to their own problems. The essential element of PAR is participation. The essential element of PAR is participation. Why it's important? Its life is important. We should focus forwardly in need. With teamwork, nothing is impossible. PAR is encourage us to move to look forward what would will be need and it will be given to them so they start their new lives. Next po. Pataas po. PAR is a community-directed process of gathering and analyzing information for the process of taking actions and making changes. In PAR, there is an outside researcher, a professional one who through immersion and integration on the community becomes a committed participant and learner in the community. PAR is focusing on gathering information to do the process and action for change. For objectives of PAR, to encourage consciousness of the suffering and develop competence for changing their own situation. We need to open their mind about the reality that they are facing in life so that they even push harder themselves to change the status of their lives. To help in the organization building by harnessing both human and natural resources in responding to community needs. Help the organization to build a livelihood project that is from raw material that is available in the community. To enhance the knowledge of the researcher in the community on the social reality before them, more focus on researching new knowledge on community for the change facing reality. May idadagdag po ba kayo?
Po. So, yung participatory is may dalawang layunin. So, yung una, magbigay ng kakayahan ng isang individual para maayos ang kanilang pamumuhay. And then, yung ikalawa naman is nagbibigay ito ng pagbabago sa lipunan na sa paaralan. So, kadalasang ang mga kasali dito is yung mga nakapag-aral na may iba't ibang karanasan at may ibang paniniwala. So, lahat ay nakapokus sa isang problema. So, intention ay magkaroon ng pag-isang lahat ng mga organization, ganun. Yun lang po.
Ako naman po, may idadagdag lang po ako. Sa participatory action research is qualitative research methodology that involves researchers and participants collaborating to understand social issues and take action to bring about social change. So, as a tool for evaluation, participatory action research works in two important ways. It produces evidence about an ongoing process of change and it promotes learning among the people closest to the change. Yun lang po. Thank you.
In PAR, or ito yung tinatawag natin na participatory action research. So first, we have the outside researcher. The outside researcher is a professional researcher who is committed and a learner. Active learner rather than detached. He goes into an immersion and integration in the community. He shares his research knowledge to encourage genuine participation but would never assume a paternalistic authoritarian attitude but leaves the application of that knowledge to the people of community. We have the local researcher. The local researchers are trained in the process of research and are made aware of the needs of their people and committed to do something about them. The local researchers elicit active participation from community members for collective data gathering, data analysis, and action, and they are the link between the community and the outside researchers. Itong dalawang researchers is they enhance the capacity of and the ability of communities and those who work with them to be architects and improvement in the community. They inform communities with understanding of their own needs and their competencies in tackling them become more confident and capable po.
Idadagdag lang po ako sa participants in PAR po. Doon po sa outside research po is binabahagi nito yung mga kaalaman at pananaliksik and never assume the paternalistic authoritarian attitude. Tapos nakatuon lamang po siya sa isang pag-aaral at sa halip ay ayaw niyo mahiwalay or ma-detach. Doon po sa local research naman po is research are trained process at nababatid ng mga pangangailangan ng tao. Ang local research ay humihingi ng isang active participation na mula sa mga miyembro ng komunidad for collective data or pangkakolekta ng data, gathering data na may ugnayan sila sa pagitan ng komunidad at outside resources.
Okay, may dadagdag ako. Dun sa importance of phases of Cooper process, I've learned naman na dito na it focuses on the best interests of the poorest sectors of society. And of course, it should lead to a self-reliance to the community. And Cooper as an integral tool in the community development follows a systematic and cyclical process. And it facilitates education of the people in part with the capability of enhancement of some activities. Yun lang.
Doon po siya sa entry phases po, ay doon po sa phases of Cooper process. Yung first po is yung pre-entry phase, is the initial phase of the initial phase of the organizing process where the community organizer looks for communities to serve help, and it's considered the simplest phase in terms of actual outputs, activities, and strategies, and time spent for it. Ang ibig sabihin lang po nito is yung pre-entry phase po is yung preparation of staff po. Tas dito na rin po nag-look forward yung site of location kung yung community po ba is kailangan po ng assistance. Next na po ba?
Ay, may dadagdag pa ako. Yung sa dun sa phase of Cooper, yung pinaka-important na phase is the subsistence and the strengthen phase.
it is the end of portion of COPAR, but this is the most important phase. It is during the phase by which the community and its people are being developed to be self-reliant. Yun lang.
Sa may part ng activities, criteria for initial, and dun sa criteria for initial site selection. Again, I am Elsie Tagapan. So, dito sa pre-entry phase, yung unang phase ay pre-entry phase. Dito sa pre-entry phase, gaya nga ng sabi nila, ito yung tinatawag na initial phase ng organizing process, na kung saan yung organizer is maghahanap sila ng community to serve and to help. Ito na yung tinatawag na site selection. So, paano nga ba ginagawa itong site selection? Kasi hindi naman pwede na ipinpoint na lang yung gusto nilang barangay na tulungan nila. So, bali, ganito po yung nangyayari. For example, itong pinakatataas na organizer o yung pinaka namumuno dun sa pre-entry phase or dun sa COPAR, sasabihan si assistant niya na magpatawag ng meeting for HRDP COPAR. Under pre-entry phase muna po tayo. So during meeting, magtatanong yan if may napili na ba silang barangay na pwede nilang tulungan, something like that. And then itong si isa, kunwari sasabihin yung 5 barangay na maaari nilang pagpilian. Tapos itatanong itong nagpatawag ng meeting kung anong barangay doon sa 5 ang pasok sa criteria nila. So to make it short, yung criteria for initial selection, ito yung DEO, yung nasabi ko ata kanina, yung DEO mnemonics, yung DEO or deprived, exploited, and oppressed community. So doon sa 5 barangay na pagpipilian nila, ang napili nila kunwari is yung barangay Maglaya. Kasi dito sa barangay, malayo sila sa ospital. Walang barangay health center. Limited yung pinagkukuhanan nila ng tubig. Poor health status, kaya high incidence sila sa communicable disease. Tapos yung population nila is padami ng padami. And last is kulang sa immunization yung mga bata. Kaya yung barangay na yun ang napili nilang tulungan. Ayun lang po.
So may dadaglag lang din po ako sa criteria for site selections or community selection. So here in the criteria site selections po, they have a mnemonics which is depressed mnemonics. So depressed mnemonics kasi depressed na community ang hahanapin natin. So D stands for depressed community and E stands for exploited dahil napabayaan na community, and the P stands for poor community. So next, a resident should 100 to 200 families. Then next, E is for economically depressed. S stands for safe. So dapat safe po yung lugar or area for COPAR program. So there should no strong or serious peace and other problems. So kailangan safe yung midwife na pupunta sa lugar na yun kung saan gaganapin yung COPAR program. So next is letter S. So it shows mortality and morbidity cases. Madaming namamatay at nagkakasakit. So kailangan related dyan sa mga health problems. So and take note, the best indicator for a community health is the infant mortality rate, because infant mortality rate is considered the most sensitive indicator for the health of the general community. So it is the best reflection of your community health kapag mas maraming namamatay na bata sa isang community na poor ang community health. So yun yung titig natin para makita natin na talagang pwede siya sa COPAR natin. And ang kailangan kailangan nating pasukin na community ay yung hindi pa napapasok na community. It means dapat never been entered by another organizations by holding the same program. So kailangan ikaw pa lang ang nag-conduct o magkakandak ng COPAR dun sa area ng program na yon. Kasi kapag nagkaroon na siya ng organization ngayon at pumasok ka pa, bawal na po yun. So kailangan ikaw pa lang yung magmamanage para makapag-focus ka sa mga projects o program na gagawin mo sa community. Yun lang po. Ay, meron pa po pala. So, sa last po yung letter D sa depressed. So, do not have any barangay health stations or hospital po. So, dapat walang malapit na hospital o BHS sa isang community. Muna kayo nito.
Bangga ito na. Bahala ka sa.
Natutunan ko po dito sa entry phase is entry phase sometimes called the social preparation phase as to the activities done here includes the sensitization of the people on the critical events in their life. So, hinihikayat po nito yung mga tao na i-share yung dreams or ideya on how to manage their concern and eventually mobilizing them to take collective action on this. So this phase signals the actual entry of the community work or organizer into the community. Yung una po is recognizes the role of local authorities by paying them visits to inform them of their presence and activity. The appearance, speech, behavior, and lifestyle should be in keeping with those of the community residents without disregard of their being role models. So, avoid raising the consciousness of the community residents or adopt a low-key profile. Yun lang po.
May dadagdag lang po ako. Wait lang. So, community organizing as the main strategy to be employed in preparing the communities to develop their community healthcare system and the establishment of community health organization to manage the community health program. Organizing work in the communities were done. And also, in the entry phase, the research project is strengthened and then finalized. Usually, this is a time where intensive exchange between doctoral candidate and supervisor takes place. The public presentation of the research project in the first milestone in the doctoral process. Yun lang po.
May idadagdag lang po ako. Entry phase. Sa entry phase, dito natin inaalam kung maganda ang ginagawang pag-aangkop para sa komunidad na paggawa ng proyekto. Pangalawa, isa ito sa mismong ginagawa ng mga BMS at PHW, sila ang umaayos ng data ng komunidad. For guidelines for entry, isa-isahin ko na lang po. Dapat kilalanin natin kung sino-sino ang namamahala sa isang komunidad at alamin ang anyo, pananalita, pag-uugali at pamumuhay na dapat ay mapanatili na napakaloob sa bawat isa sa komunidad. Then, iwasan ang pagbabanggit ng mga bagay sa makapagdalawang isip sa isang residente. Activities. Pagsamasamahin ang mga residenteng nasa komunidad, mas singil pa ang pag-aaral sa mga nakatira sa komunidad at magpakalat ng impormasyon sa mga residente patungkol sa programa, magbigay din ng basihan sa pagpili ng magiging miyembro sa bawat grupo, at mga klase ng grupo na tututok sa programa. Paghahanda sa mga sitwasyon na pwedeng mangyari. Dapat merong grupong nagsasaayos ng mga panibagong data. Magbuo ng grupo sa pangkalusugan. Kilalanin kung sino-sino ang mga may kaalaman o may kakayahan sa mga trabahong pangkomunidad. Then, magpapakilos mga residente upang malaman ang kakulangan sa pangkalusugan. Ituloy lang ang pagkalat ng mga impormasyon at magsagawa din ng aktibidad na makakapag-ugnay sa mga residente ng isang komunidad. Pag-present ng mga natapos na resulta sa mga ginagawa sa komunidad at magkaroon ng aktibidad para sa mga core group upang mas makilala natin ang kanilang mga sarili. Magsanay din tayo sa mga bagong tagapagsaliksik, kumonsulta sa mga taga-komunidad. Ito yung klase ng organisasyon na nangunguna sa paghatid ng serbisyong pangkalusugan sa mga residente sa komunidad nang walang bayad. At isang grupo nag-aral at nagsaliksik sa kanilang komunidad tungkol sa iba't ibang tao sa komunidad. At isang grupo na binubuo ng taong interesado o may kakayanan at isa ito sa pinakamaliit na miyembro, ngunit ito ang pinakapuso ng komunidad. Yun lang po.
Ito lang, may dadagdag ko po lang dito sa sa criteria in the selection of the core group member. Yun nga po, yung first po is must be a respected member of the community. Wait lang po. Must be respected member for the community. Dapat po may respect po siya sa member niya dun po sa community na yan. Must belong to the poor sectors or classes in the community. Must be responsible, committed individuals willing to work for social change and transformation. Yung willing po siya na
wait lang. So we have the leader spotting through sociogram. Meron yung key persons, it approached by most people. Sila yung mga local agency and local government and political figures. We have the opinion leader, it approached by key persons. Isolates, never or hardly consulted. May dadagdag po ako dito sa criteria used for spotting potential leaders. First is belongs to the poor sectors and classes and is directly engaged in production. Ito po yung sektor at uri ng direktang nakikibahagi sa isang produksyon. Dapat nire-respect siya ng miyembro ng komunidad nais ng pagbabago at trabaho para sa pagbabago ng kanilang community. Kinakailangan may oras siya matapat at maparaan sa pagtatrabaho at may mabisang pakikipag-usap sa kanyang kapwa-tao.
Sino itong bantay lang? Silang bantay.
Nakita.
Eh.
Organization, building phase. So in this phase, it signals that the start of community self-management because it initials the formation of more formal structure and the inclusion of more formal procedure of planning, implementing, and evaluating community-wise activities. So in this space, we are doing lots of building here through organizational meeting. This is the phase where organized leaders or groups are being given training to develop their style in managing their own concerns in their programs. So the individuals who are in charge will be undergone in education, seminars, ganon. Dito sa part na to, kumbaga ito na yung OJT nila. Dito na nila na pwedeng i-apply yung skills nila, ganon. Tapos ito na rin yung pinaka-training nila para ma-develop yung skills and in managing their own program. So under this phase, meron tayo mga key activities such as community self-management, afternoon election of CHO officers, naman, the next preparations of legal requirements kasi need nila na ang ma-register yung need nilang ma-register. They need to be recognized by those government agencies and also the LGUs. Kailangan nilang ma-recognize as a grupo. Next, organize, train CHWs and second, guidelines in the organization by the CHO by the core groups, organize, train CHWs and second liners, participatory action, research, development plan of project proposal, research team committee, planning committee, organize working committee, consolidate community diagnosis and result, formulate community health plan, link with other LGUs, INGOs for financial and technical assistance. Next, the sustenance and strengthening phase. Medyo pataas po ng slide. So, sa phase naman na ito, yung mga activities na nabanggit sa previous phase is already finished. In here, you've reached the last phase na strengthening the community na ang kailangan. Kaya na nilang ipagpatuloy with the help of community organizer, etc. Yung help na galing sa iba pa is di na kailangan kasi the community is strong enough para sa solusyonan ng kanilang mga issues. occurs when the community organization has already been established and the community members are already actively participating in community-wide undertakings. At this point, the different committees set up in the organization building phase are already expected to be functioning by the way of planning, implementing, evaluating their own programs with the overall guidance from the community-wide organization. So, yun lang po yung aking idea. Kung sino man po yung gusto pang mag-share ng kanilang idea, pwede na pong magsalita.
Hello po, again, I am Elsie Tagapan. And gusto ko lang din po dagdagan yung nasabi po kanina. So, dito sa community action and organization building phase, may mnemonics po ulit ako dito. Ang mnemonics po natin is work. W-O-R-K. Meaning to say, community action. You are already doing some work here. Dito sa phase na ito, hindi sa leaders ang focus natin but the workers already. The word work, ang focus natin ay workers. The word work, gumagawa ka na ng actions. So sa mnemonics natin na work, sa letter W, that means workers establishment. Gumagawa ka na ng organizational training sa mga community health workers. By the way, prior to the training, kailangan mo munang iselect kung sino yung workers sa community and tandaan po natin na ang iselect, wag nating iselect kapag hindi sila interesado kasi yung word na interested at willingness nila is essential. Kailangan willing sila at interesado silang jumoin sa team. Dito sa letter W, workers establishment, kailangan ma-develop muna yung criteria of selection of healthcare workers. Kapag na-establish na yung criteria, pwede ka nang mag-select kung sino yung sasali sa workers team at pagtapos na yun, pwede mo na silang i-train. Kapag na-establish mo na yung workers, you can do organizational setup. Yan na yung letter O sa mnemonics na sinabi ko kanina na work. W-O-R-K mnemonics. The next one is letter R sa mnemonics na work. Yan na yung resource mobilization scene. Dito yung community, kailangan nilang i-identify yung resources na meron sila para magamit nila ito sa pag-solve ng kanilang problema. Either gaya ng sabi ko nung una, yung resources, human resources, material resources, community resources. Dito, dapat may initial identification sila ng kanilang resources para magamit nila ito sa pag-solve ng kanilang issues. So once there is already establishment of workers, there is already organizational setup and the people already identified the resources na meron sila sa kanilang community. Yung workflow, of course, will be okay. Yan na yung letter K sa mnemonics na work. Letter K for okay. Parang na-emphasize lang yung letter K sa okay. So, parang ganun. So, letter D, sustenance and strengthening phase. Ang natutunan ko naman dito is sustenance and strengthening phase. Ito yung pinakalas na copper phases, sustenance and strengthening phase. Dito, masasabi natin na yung activities na ginawa natin is already finished. Yan yung para sa akin ng mnemonics, para sa phase na ito. Finish mnemonics. Letter F-I-N-I-S-H, finish. Ibig sabihin na kapag na-reach na natin yung sustenance and strengthening phase, we are already strengthening the community. Ready na for turnover yung community. Meron pa po. Hindi pa po. Din sa sustenance po. At addition lang din po sa sinabi ko kanina, tandaan po natin na yung action ni midwife or nurse sa COPAR is not forever kasi binibuild lang po natin yung community para maging self-reliant. Ibig sabihin, tinutulungan mo sila na i-identify yung kanilang problema, and the help will end, of course. Kasi yung community are already strong enough para i-solve yung kanilang issue. So back to the mnemonics. Sa letter F, ito yung formulation and ratification of constitution and bylaws. Ibig sabihin, na-formulate na natin yung constitution para i-guide yung community. Letter I is identification and development of secondary leaders. Dito sa phase na ito kasi is we are already developing the leaders. Hindi lang primary leaders, kundi pati na yung secondary leaders that can help the community leaders soon if the nurse or midwife will go out in the community. The next one is letter N. Then that is network or link or yung tinatawag na referral. Ibig sabihin, yung community na i-establish, ibig sabihin yung community is na-establish na nila yung trust nila sa NGOs or sa LGUs na tutulungan sila, kumbaga na-set up na nila yung good network. Next is letter I. Yan na yung implementation, development of viable committees, management system, plans, and medium and long-term goals. Diba, kapag dapat may working community dito sa working, dapat may working community. Dito sa working community, kailangan nating i-monitor para maging viable at visible. The next one is letter S sa ating mnemonics na finish. That is setting up and institutionalizing financing scheme for community health activities and programs. At as letter E, that is health workers or communities, continuous education, yung facilitator dapat magsagawa ng health education sa community leaders, community health workers, CHO members, and community residents. This continuing health education is a strengthening phase lang kasi di ba nagsagawa naman na sila ng training sa mga leaders sa community and sa mga workers. Ang gagawin na lang nila is kumbaga you are just going to feed them a little kasi na-establish, a little lang po kasi na-establish na nila yung community leaders at health workers. Kumbaga magbibigay na lang sila ng kaunting guide or guidance or additional or an update to their knowledge. Tandaan natin, dito sa sustenance and strengthening phase, ito yung phase na ready na yung community viable, yung committees formalize yung networks and may identification or election of secondary leaders. Tandaan po lagi natin na ang sustenance and strengthening phase occurs when the community and organization has already established at yung community members is active na sila. Ibig sabihin, yung community is doing more. The initiative is coming from them already. In short, they can now stand on their own, and at this point, the different committees set up in the organization are already expected to be functioning.
Training of CHO for monitoring and implementing of community health program, then develop financial and management systems, then assess replan community health programs, then institutionalize linkages, referral points, then formulation of constitution and bylaws, then apply for CEC registration, then linkaging and networking, then conduct of mobilization and on health and development concerns, then implementation of livelihood projects, then negotiate absorption of CHWs by LGU, then affiliate with other groups. Key activities. Dapat may mga CHO na may pagsasanay para sa pagsubaybay at pag-implementa sa mga proyekto ng komunidad at pag-aralin ng mabuti ang budget kung saan mas magiging epektibo ang paggamit. Then, gumawa pa ng mga panibagong plano para sa proyekto at ito ay ang pakikipag-ugnayan sa gobyerno at iba pang sektor tulad ng NGO at foundations. Then paggawa ng mga bagong alituntunin o di kaya batas. Saka mag-apply sa CEC o LGU para sa pagkakakilanlan ng proyektong gagawin at pakikipagkasundo o pakikiisa sa iba pang organisasyon. Gumawa ng isang meeting sa isang komunidad para malaman ang kanilang hinain at pagpapatupad ng mga pangkabuhayan proyekto para sa komunidad at pagkipag-ugnayan sa LGU para sa madaling pag-adapt sa proyekto. Yan, pakikipag-ugnayan sa iba pang mga produkto. Yun lang. May idadagdag ba kayo?
Wala na ata.
So, kung wala na pong mag-share ng kanilang ideas, dito na po mag-end ang ating brainstorming. Thank you po sa pagkikipag-cooperate. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.